Welcome back to the Warzone, where last week Earthquake picked up another slot in the semi-finals after quite a struggle. And now we have 9 more machines ready to battle it out for a slot in the semis. Let's see who's on the chopping block this week. Fortunate veterans from the last wars, P1 seeded number 11 up against newcomers Silver Space and Bullfrog. Biohazard back again up against previous veterans Beta and new boys Apollo. And Knome II, the surprise package from the last series, up against Angry and Mecha Grizzly. P1 Lifter. Back again from the last wars after falling to our eventual champion 259 and with a major score to settle. They know that they can beat 259 and only lost due to the pit. The weapon is still as effective as it was in the last wars, and they seem to have not bothered protecting their exposed wheels. Bullfrog Flipper. A low wedge with a gas-powered flipper armored in Hardox with a 2-wheel drive system. The gas-powered flipper will help them throw enemies over and get themselves back into the fight if flipped, but the exposed wheels might prove to be an issue. Silver Space Flipper. A very strong CO2 powered flipper to throw the opposition into orbit and a rear swinging spiked tail to add a bit of extra damage and level of protection. Like many flippers in the competition, the gas supply is limited and the wheels are also exposed. And apparently they used actual UFO parts to build this machine. I didn't realize you could buy a crashed alien vessel off Craigslist.
Robot ears, stand by.
P1 with the front hinge lifting arm, Bullfrog with the CO2 powered flipper, and Silver Space with their own CO2 flipper. Flip off this fight.
2, 1.
The question is, who has the better flipper? Well, I like the power from Silver Space's flipper, Bullfrog self-riding, and Silver Space are gone! And that was very quick! Look at this here! It's as if they fired a flipper, and Bullfrog helped land them out. You can see Silver Space's little alien spaceship left in the corner. And there's Bullfrog throwing P1, the 11th seed, in trouble here. Very much in trouble, and I think are going to be in trouble for the rest of this fight because they are struggling to get underneath. Now throwing Bullfrog. And all P1 has to do is throw them up and over like that, and that'll be the end because there is a limited gas supply on Bullfrog, which I think has been met. P1's weapon doesn't require CO2, but down into the descending pit goes Bullfrog, and it's P1 after quite the scare going through to the Gold Rumble once again. And I think P1 are fairly lucky to have won that. Bullfrog's had to crash into the Silver Rumble, Silver Space into the Bronze. Next up, Biohazard Apollo, and Beta. Biohazard Lifter. They were quite effective in the last wars with the very low body and side skirts to prevent others from getting underneath it. The lifting bar is still as effective as last year while struggling to right the machine, with the only issue being full body spinners. Apollo Flipper. A very low wedge leading to a very powerful flipper running at 1000 psi to send everyone that runs up it into orbit and come crashing back down. It's quite quick and nippy, but the wheels at the back are quite vulnerable, and there is a limited CO2 supply. Beta Axebot. They entered Kilohertz last year and learned that maybe building a robot with car steering is not 100% smart. It's ingenious, but tricky. This machine has a very heavy hammer with polycarbonate and stainless steel armor which will protect it from blade attacks, but the chain for the weapon is quite exposed.
Robot ears, stand by.
Biohazard with the lifting arm and the side skirts, Apollo with the seeming full, very powerful flipper, and Beta with the big hammer.
3, 2, 1.
I get the feeling Beta quite outclassed. There's the power from the flipper of Apollo, and there's Beta dropping their hammer down, and Beta thrown by Biohazard. Meanwhile, Biohazard on the attack on Apollo now, who don't seem to be moving. What's wrong with Apollo? They're being counted out here. And what a shame. We expected a lot from Apollo, which is unfortunate. Oh! Beta! Oh, they're gone now. Look at this. The pit's descending, and Beta ramps up the side of Biohazard. And, well, then now they are officially in the pit. Here's Biohazard pushing away at Apollo, and they're gone! Well done! Biohazard throwing Apollo at the arena. We've never seen Biohazard do it before, but now we get to, and out goes Apollo, crash landing out of the arena. That's a great victory for Biohazard as they progress through to the Gold Rumble. As for Apollo, they were immobilized the entire fight, so they're in the bronze, Beta's in the silver. Next up, Knome II, Angry, and Mecha Grizzly. Knome II. Rambot. Genuinely surprised me and others in the last wars as it made its way to the Heat final where it eventually lost to Chaos 2, but managed to beat Monty, Voltronic, Janky Shanky, King Bee Powerworks, and Chief Kalani. Extremely surprising, and it's back again to try to go one step further. Moral of the story? Don't judge a bot by its design. Angry Flipper. They were quite impressive in the last wars despite not getting very far by losing the TR2 in the Silver Rumble. They've returned unchanged, which may not only be a positive, but also a slight downside. Mecha Grizzly. Rambot. They looked promising in the last wars with K9, too bad it ended so quickly for them. Hopefully that won't be the case this time. The new machine's front jaw can be used to clamp the opposition and drag them wherever they desire, and the self-rating, well, it seems like they forgot to add that.
Robot ears, stand by.
Were Knome II lucky last time? Or was it pure skill, I wonder, that got them the 17th seeds? Well, not to see, they're up against two other veterans, Angry and Mecha Grizzly, and Angry throwing Knome II up and over. Now we've seen before that flipping Knome II doesn't do anything. It will, however, to Mecha Grizzly, who doesn't seem to have a self-rating mechanism, and Angry holding them in there. Now they technically cannot do that. They can't hold Mecha Grizzly down. That is against the rules, and it can cause major problems for Angry. But are they doing it deliberately though? I think what happened is they fired their weapon and they've just gone stuck. Knome II trying to help separate the two. Is it working? I don't know. Now Angry lets him go. And does a little backflip somersault. Now Angry on the attack on Mecha Grizzly again and firing the flipper. No real success though. And I'm wondering if they've lost CO2 because don't forget we did hear a lot of gas being vented. They've got Mecha Grizzly back onto their wheels now, but they've done the same thing again where the Mecha Grizzly is stuck underneath the flipper. There's Mecha Grizzly's flipper, not Mecha Grizzly, Angry's flipper again, and again, throwing over Mecha Grizzly. Now, you can see Mecha Grizzly ricketing there, and I'm wondering if there is a Shreemech on board, but if it's just effective or not. I don't think it is, really. Knome II coming in to get rid of Mecha Grizzly, Angry coming in as well with their push, and down to the pit, and that's the end. Well, the 17th seeds pushed into the pit, Angry follows suit. I think Mecha Grizzly are immobilized, so they'll be in the bronze, Knome II in the silver, leaving Angry to go through to the gold, I think. Also, remind me to find the guy that gave Knome II 14th seeding on the battle card and kick him in the head, the 17th seeding. But this is how it lines up. Again, 14th, what the hell? For the Gold Rumble, P1, seed number 11 against Biohazard and Angry, Bullfrog and Beta and Knome II in the silver. But first, the bronze, Silver Space, Apollo, and Mecha Grizzly.
Robot ears, stand by.
Silver Space with the Flipper and their pet UFO. Apollo, are they working this time around? And Mecha Grizzly, who I feel like is very, very outclassed here. Reason being because of the Flipper. And yes, Apollo is working and doing a bit of a disco dance, which is lovely. Here's Mecha Grizzly pushing away in one! Was it the head? Yes, that was the head of Mecha Grizzly that just came flying off. Well done, Silver Spacer. That was glorious. So, Mecha Grizzlies without their head. Apollo, what can they do? Well, nothing! Out the arena! That's the end of Apollo! So they are now gone. Beautiful. And, oh! They've thrown themselves back into the arena. That's something that Freewave did before in the last wars. And I'm wondering, actually, if there's a problem for Apollo because there doesn't seem to be any other movement. They've well, now they're very much stuck there. Let's be real. I don't think there's any way for Apollo to get out of the lights. Meanwhile, okay, now there definitely isn't. They are really wedged in there. Meanwhile, Silver Space trying to deal with Mecha Grizzly, but they are being bullied here. Silver Space cannot get to grips with their flipper. They cannot use their flipper effectively on Mecha Grizzly, which is a problem. Mecha Grizzly, very tenacious, very tough, very aggressive. And they're demonstrating the power they had with K9 in the last wars as well. So, this is a level of what they could do with K9. And Silver Space cannot do a thing. They cannot effectively get underneath. Because if Silver Space can get underneath and throw Mecha Grizzly up and over, that will be the end. Then again, so will that at the arena! And that's the end for Mecha Grizzly. They're gone. Well done, Silver Space. And that was a very, very close call for them. They could have gone out of it, went to the judges. But it's Mecha Grizzly who goes flying out. Silver Space, go through. Could have ended badly for Silver Space, but they just managed to get the hold on Mecha Grizzly and throw them out. Apollo, poor Apollo, we expected so much from them. But it's Silver Space due to the death or glory. Next up, the Silver Rumble with Bullfrog, Beta, and Knome II.
Robot ears, stand by.
Bullfrog with the flipper, Beta with the hammer, and the 17th seeds Knome II. I think their luck may be out.
2, 1, go.
Don't get me wrong, they did very well in the last wars, but truth be told, I think that was mainly due to luck. Now here comes Bullfrog, and almost threw Beta out of the arena. How do they survive that? Here comes Knome II, almost throwing over Beta again, and Knome II up on the backside. There's Beta self-rating, and Knome II cannot move from that position, and they are being counted out. And the 17th seeds are gone, immobilized, counted out. Now, Beta stuck on top of Bullfrog. Is Bullfrog moving? Well, they're being pushed, I think, but there's the flipper. But I don't think there's any drive. I think all that pushing is from Beta. I think Bullfrog are immobilized, and that's such a shame because they did very well in the preliminaries. They almost had Beta out the arena in this fight, but I think that is the end. They're counted out. A surprise to many of us, I suppose. But hey, sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles. Knome II, they are out. Unfortunately, not able to live up to the same hype they did in the last wars. Bullfrog, they sadly crash out too. Next up, the Gold Rumble with 11 seeds. P1, Biohazard, and Angry.
Robot ears, stand by.
The 11 seeds, P1 with the front hinged flipping arm. Biohazard with the lifting bar and the low side skirts. And Angry, a good flipper.
3, 2, 1.
Very good, actually. They did very well in their last fight. Definitely much better performance from the fight in the last wars. And Biohazard feeling that force. In comes P1 to throw them and suddenly stop. Biohazard up and over. There's Angry giving them a flip. What's wrong with P1? They're not moving! And they're being counted out as immobilized! And that's such a surprise! And now, up goes Biohazard up on the wall! Now, and... well, there we go! That's the end of that! There's nothing else to do! Biohazard's effectively immobilized! P1's immobilized! Angry through! How about that? I don't know what happened to P1. They just stopped and broke down. Biohazard stuck on the wall, couldn't get off there. They both crash out into the Death or Glory where they'll meet Silver Space from the Bronze Rumble and Beta from the Silver. One of these machines will be going through to face Angry in the Heat Final.
Robot ears, stand by.
The Death or Glory with Silver Spacer, Beta, the 11 seeds, P1, and Biohazard.
3, 2, 1.
Who will come out on top to go through to fight Angry? Who would be the better machine? Beta just spinning around on the spot. I'm wondering if there's a control problem. Silver Space having a look. P1 and Biohazard having a little bit of a merry dance. Beta trying to get their hammer in on Silver Space. I don't think it's really doing all that much damage. Silver Space running away. I think, yes they are, driving away. Meanwhile, Beta's got some serious problem with their drive. Now, how will Beta go? Okay, that's what Beta will do. Down the pit. I had a feeling that would happen eventually. Meanwhile, Biohazard now slamming into Silver Space. And here comes P1. There's Bio. Well, P1's just throwing themselves down the pit. What prompted you to do this? Here comes Beta with the hammer. And P1 has just gone out. So, the 11 seeds are gone. Which is such a shame as well. Here comes Biohazard slamming in on Silver Space. But Silver Space still in this. They can't get underneath Biohazard. The side skirts working to their advantage. But out they go. They're through. Just look at this. They're almost in the pit. But I think they fired their flipper before they actually went in. So Biohazard are now gone. Well, ow! I'm speechless for that. But this is the Heat Final. Angry and Silver Space. What, this? This should be a rather interesting Heat Final, let's be real.
Robot ears, stand by.
This is it, the Heat Final. Two very powerful flippers, Angry and the newcomers Silver Space.
3, 2, 1.
Angry never made the Heat Final. In fact, they made it to the Silver Rumble. And that was about as far as they got, but now they get to show off their prowess and throw Silver Space across the floor. Don't don't attack their mascot. That's just bullying and mean. Silver Space, they'll need to drop their flipper. Otherwise, Angry will throw them over, and Silver Space, they're mistiming their flips here. Up and over. I have to admit, though, in all seriousness, I like the weaponry. I like the weapon power of Silver Space. Up and over again. And they serve right. They just launch themselves into the air. That is just stupendous. I absolutely love it. But Silver Space won't be able to do that a lot because it is a flipper powered by CO2, just like Angry. There is a limited gas supply for them both. Angry being very careful with their flips. Silver Space mistiming their flips. Now, can Angry throw Silver Space out of the arena? Probably. Or maybe not, because of how bouncy it is. Probably giving up. Deciding, how about we just drop them in the pit? Well, the pit's not down there. I see what they're doing. They're positioning them to drop them in the pit. Oh, they've gone away! Just before the pit came down. Look at this. Angry hits the pit release button, and Silver Space self-rights, throwing themselves into orbit, and gets away. But I don't think it'll be enough to save them. There's the flip from Angry. And now, here's another flip against the wall. And that's the end. Silver Space out of the arena. But a great effort from the newcomers. But it's Angry who progresses through to the series semi-finals. What a performance. And what an impressive run from the veterans of last time who only got through to the Silver Rumble as Silver Space. I hope Silver Space returns. An impressive display from Angry as they toss Silver Space out of the arena with low CO2 and nab the 6th spot in the semis. Will we get something similar next heat? Who knows? But until then, take care, and I'll see you next time. Farewell.